What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Star Wars edition of the Ragin Nation show. This is just a web series where we're talking about Star Wars films. This is episode number 33, and it's been a while since I've done a Star Wars edition episode. The last episode, episode number 32, was 5 months ago, which was when I did the reaction for the teaser trailer for The Last Jedi. But between now and then, I haven't done any updates, and it's mainly because I didn't want to indulge myself in too much of the production of Star Wars films in general, like the Han Solo film and Episode 8, and the main reason why is just to avoid spoilers. I didn't want to know too much. So that's why what I'm about to talk about in this episode is something that doesn't even involve spoilers at all. It's actually episode 9. Episode 9 doesn't come out until 2019. It's in the very early stages of development, but what I want to talk about is something that you probably already know about, and that is the fact that Colin Trevorrow is out as a director and J.J. Abrams is in as the new director for episode 9. Now, if you've been living under a rock, it was announced just a little bit over a week ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago, that Colin Trevorrow, who was originally supposed to direct, or originally who had directing duties for episode 9, he was fired from directing episode 9, and the main reason why, it's a number of reasons based on what I've read, and it is because his latest film, which was like an indie artsy film, it's called The Book of Henry, it did low numbers both financially and critically. So they kind of had Disney and Lucasfilm kind of scratching their heads, like thinking, like, did we hire the right person? And to top things off, Colin Trevorrow just came off like a $1.6 billion worldwide box office film. That's Jurassic World. And because of that, he went from a small film to a big blockbuster film. That kind of just made his ego just like go through the roof. And because of that, he's got this big ego and it's kind of hard to work with based on what I've read. Based on what I've read, he's very difficult. He's become difficult to work with, and that's all because of how the success of Jurassic World made him feel. Think about it. You direct a small film like Safety Not Guaranteed, and then you direct a big film like Jurassic World, which gets the studios $1.6 billion worldwide. How do you think you would have felt? You would have been feeling like you're on top of the world, right? So because of that type of attitude got the best of him, became difficult to work with, and essentially, if you become difficult to work with, you are messing with something quite precious. And what's precious? And that's the Star Wars franchise. You don't mess with the Star Wars franchise. The Star Wars franchise is the most high-profile and prestigious film franchise in the world. Star Wars there's nothing bigger than Star Wars. And when you get handpicked to direct a Star Wars film, you need to be there with the right right hat on. You know what I'm saying? That's why directors like Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who were originally directing Han Solo, they are off the project because they were messing with it. And same with Colin Trevorrow. It looks like with his poor attitude, he was messing with it. You do not mess with Star Wars. Now, the thing about Colin Trevorrow directing Star Wars Episode 9 was that I was actually really quite surprised. I was quite surprised that he was directing Episode 9, mainly because that, okay, fine, I understand that he made Universal $1.6 billion. I get that. Lucasfilm and Disney are greedy corporations, all right? They want that billion-dollar pie. But Jurassic World is by no means like a great movie. It doesn't have a whole lot of depth to it. There's not a whole lot of emotional depth. It's not a film with a lot of substance. It's just a solid piece of entertainment. And I loved Jurassic World. I loved the fact that it was Jurassic Park, but on steroids. It was awesome. I loved it. It was fun. It was entertaining. And I had a really great time. But it's nothing more than a really solid piece of entertainment. It's nothing more than that. So I was surprised that Colin Trevorrow got hired as a director for Episode 9. And when I thought about that, it's really just a greedy response from Disney. That's all it was. Fast forward to now, he gets fired because of his ego. Now we got J.J. Abrams directing Episode 9. And this is so predictable from Disney. Disney has been playing it safe all the way through. From The Force Awakens and how that ended up playing out. Like, I loved The Force Awakens. I think it's a great film, and I enjoyed many aspects of it, but you cannot deny that the third act was basically a rehash of A New Hope. And that's why a lot of Star Wars fans, like hardcore Star Wars fans, are really, really quite against the idea of J.J. Abrams directing episode 9. They did not like Force Awakens for that reason, with the third act being the third act, the way it played out. I was clapping at the end of Force Awakens because I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. I thought it was a great film. I think it was awesome. But I'm not too fussy. I'm not too fussy about like what happened in the third act. I thought it could have been better, but for the most part, it has all the elements that make up a great film, like a good film. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have problems with that. But I'm here to emphasize that what they're doing with J.J. Abrams directing episode 9 is just another one of their predictable, safe moves. George Lucas said it himself. He's no longer a part of Star Wars, but like he said that what they did in Force Awakens was very, very safe. Disney is a very, very is a company that executes very, very safe decisions. Everything that you see from the Marvel Cinematic Universe is an example of their safe decision making. Why do you think every single one of those films are good? Why do you think every single one of those films makes so much money? It's because they follow their same safe formula. It's very, very formulaic. It is a formula that works and they know it. And that is why all these films end up generally being good. And by generally being good, I mean that they all have high scores on Rotten Tomatoes. They take home a lot of box office dollars worldwide, and it's because they follow the exact same formula, and that's them being safe. Episode 9 being directed by J.J. Abrams is being safe. The only risk that Disney has ever made recently was hiring Rian Johnson as director for episode 8 and also having Rogue One as a film, and that's still considered safe. It's a big risk because like nobody knew how it was going to turn out, but it was still very safe because they knew they would put elements in there that would please the fans. They knew that a lot of things that they end up putting in the contents of Star Wars Rogue One would make the fans happy and excited. It was all calculated. It was all premeditated. They knew what was going to happen from that. And the only risk they ended up taking was just making a film that kind of strays away from the Skywalker story. That was a risk within itself, but still, it was still a safe move. Episode 9 being directed by J.J. Abrams is a safe move. Now, a lot of fans obviously don't like this idea, but there's just not enough of them out there that don't like it enough that it would make a difference because Disney has made their decision. J.J. Abrams got Disney $2 billion worldwide. That is insane, okay? And they're looking to repeat that success. Like I said before, they hired Colin Trevorrow because of $1.6 billion for Universal with Jurassic World. They're getting J.J. Abrams back because J.J. Abrams made them $2 billion. Now, there's no guarantee that he's going to make the same amount, but they know that there is a positive response out of that, all right? It's really only a small bunch of Star Wars fans, and I really mean it's a small bunch because that bunch of Star Wars fans are the ones that don't like it. They made a petition to get J.J. Abrams fired. It's just a little bit over 2,000 signatures. That ain't gonna make a dent. Even if it was 100,000 signatures, that still is not gonna make a dent. I'm sorry to say, but that's not gonna make a difference. This movie is gonna get made, and J.J. Abrams gonna be directing the movie, and I really don't have a problem with that. I would have liked for a different director to direct Star Wars Episode 9. I would have liked it if every film, Episode 8, Episode 7, Episode 9, was a different director. That way we can see 3 different visions, just like how, the first original trilogy had 3 different directors. But, I don't have any complaints about J.J. Abrams. I think he gave us a good movie with Force Awakens, and the people that will tell you that Force Awakens is a good movie are the people who are not Star Wars fans. Okay? I'm a Star Wars fan, but I recognize that this is a film that appeals to the masses. And if you're not a hardcore Star Wars fan, you will end up enjoying Force Awakens just because it has all the elements of what makes a great film, a great story, excitement, action, great performances, and a lot of story developments, and emotional depth. So it has all those elements. So what's not to like? it's really only the hardcore Star Wars fans that don't really like it because they saw a rehash of A New Hope. And I get that. I totally get that. I know what you, I mean, you would have preferred to see something different, but that's what we ended up getting. And I still ended up clapping in the theaters because as an experience, as a whole, I enjoyed it. So anyways, I just wanted to share with you my thoughts about how I feel about J.J. Abrams coming back. I would have liked the Russo brothers to direct Episode 9, but that ain't happening because they're too busy with the Avengers films. Who else would I have gotten? I mean, Robert Zemeckis, but he's busy directing Flashpoint or whatever. Steven Spielberg, would never direct a Star Wars film just because it's, well, George Lucas is no longer a part of it. I think that if Spielberg directed a Star Wars film, it would have felt like a stab in the back to George Lucas, and they're best friends, right? So, who would I have gotten? I don't know. I think like a smaller director. I'm talking about a director who made like 1 or 2 good movies, somewhere in the sci-fi realm. But I really can't think of anybody right now. I still want Neil Blomkamp to direct something. Maybe like I know who I wanted to direct Star Wars Episode 9. Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro would be perfect for Star Wars Episode 9. Let me know if you agree. But anyways, the choice has already been made, J.J. Abrams, but I'd like to know who you would have wanted to direct Star Wars Episode 9. My top pick is Guillermo del Toro. So there you have it. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this episode. I just wanted to share with you my thoughts about how I feel about J.J. Abrams directing Episode 9 and Colin Trevorrow being fired. I'm actually kind of glad that he's fired. J.J. Abrams has a good track record, so I'm happy with the way things went. I mean, the only people who are complaining about J.J. Abrams' work is really just Star Trek fans and Star Wars fans. But to the masses, which makes up a larger part of the audience population, they're loving it. Anyways, as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, hit that like button, subscribe to YouTube channel, like my Facebook, The Ragin Nation, also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name's Alex, thanks for watching, see you next time, peace. The character that Wu Jing plays, and he's essentially a one-man army, and the Wolf Warrior is a product of the Chinese military, but he can